Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss the topic fundamental rights. As you know, CBSE had made changes in the syllabus of political science for class plus 1. So now this topic fundamental right is a part of chapter Constitution Why and How. Fundamental rights are mentioned in the chapter 3rd of the Constitution from Article 12 to 35. But you must know that fundamental rights mentioned under Article 14 to 32 are justiciable. It means that if these rights are violated, then we are having the right to move to the Supreme Court and High Court for the protection of our fundamental rights. But before discussing the fundamental rights in detail, we must know the meaning of the term fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are those rights which are granted by the Constitution of India to its citizens. These are the most important rights for the development and progress of the citizens. Constitution of India granted 6 fundamental rights to the citizens. Number 1, right to equality. Number 2, right to freedom. Number 3, right against exploitation. Number 4, cultural and educational rights. Number 5, right to freedom of religion. And number 6, right to constitutional remedies. Initially, there were 7 fundamental rights, but right to property was later converted into legal right by the 44th Amendment of the Constitution in the year 1978. So, first of all, we will discuss the right to equality from Article 14 to 18. Under right to equality, first one is equality before law. Article 14 of the Constitution guarantees that all the citizens shall be equally protected by the laws of the country. It means all are considered equal in the eyes of law. Second one is social equality and equal access to public areas. Article 15 of the Constitution states that no person shall be discriminated on the basis of caste, color, language, etc. Every person shall have equal access to public places like public parks, museums, wells, bathing ghats, and temples, etc. However, the state may make any special provision for the protection of women and children. Third one is equality in matters of public employment. Article 16 of the Constitution lays down that the state cannot discriminate against anyone in the matters of employment. All the citizens can apply for government jobs. Means state shall not make any discrimination while giving the government jobs to the people. Fourth one is abolition of untouchability. Article 17 of the Constitution abolishes the practice of untouchability. Practice of untouchability is an offense, and anyone doing so is punishable by law. Fifth one is abolition of titles. Article 18 of the Constitution prohibits the state from conferring any titles. Citizens of India cannot accept titles from a foreign state. Next, we will discuss right to freedom. Right to freedom is mentioned under Article 19 to 22. First of all, we will discuss the freedom granted under Article 19 of the Constitution. First one is freedom of speech and expression. As this right, freedom of expression, helps an individual to participate in public activities. The phrase freedom of press has not been used in Article 19 of the Constitution, but freedom of expression includes freedom of press. Next freedom granted under Article 19 is to assemble peacefully without arms, on which the state can impose reasonable restrictions in the interest of public order and the sovereignty and integrity of India. Next freedom under Article 19 is freedom to form associations or unions. But this freedom is also not absolute. as state can impose reasonable restrictions on this freedom in the interest of public order, morality, and the sovereignty and integrity of India. Next is freedom to move freely throughout the territory of India. Though reasonable restrictions can be imposed on this right in the interest of the general public. For example, restrictions may be imposed on movement and traveling so as to control epidemics. For example, in India, there is a complete lockdown to control coronavirus. Next is freedom to reside and settle in any part of the territory of India, which is also subject to reasonable restrictions by the state in the interest of the general public or for the protection of the scheduled tribes because certain safeguards are envisaged here seen to be justified to protect indigenous and tribal peoples from exploitation and coercion. Next one is freedom to practice any profession or to carry on any occupation, trade or business. But this freedom is also not absolute, as the state may impose reasonable restrictions in the interest of the general public. Thus, there is no right to carry on a business which is dangerous or immoral. Next, we will discuss Article 20 of the Indian Constitution. According to the Article 20 of the Indian Constitution, every citizen has full protection of law. For safeguarding his freedoms, the following rights have been granted to the citizens. Number 1. No citizen can be punished without a breach of law. Number 2. No one can be forced to be witnessed against his will. Number 3. No one can be punished more than once for the same offense. Next, we will discuss Article 20 of the Indian Constitution. According to Article 20 of the Constitution, every citizen has full protection of law. For safeguarding his freedoms, the following rights have been granted to the citizens. Number 1. No citizen can be punished without a breach of law. Number 2. No one can be forced to be witness against his will. Number 3. No one can be punished more than once for the same offense. Next is Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. According to this article, no one can be deprived of his life except through the procedure established by the law. Right to education was included in the right to freedom by 86th Amendment to the Constitution in the year 2002. According to Article 21, Clause A, every child between the ages of 6 to 14 years has the right to free and compulsory education. Last is Article 22 of the Indian Constitution. This right prevents the arbitrary arrest, as it is clear from the following points. According to Article 22, arrested person must know the reason of his arrest. Number 2. Arrested person has a right to consult a lawyer for his defense. Number 3. Arrested person must be produced before the nearest magistrate within 24 hours of his arrest. So dear students, in this video we have discussed two fundamental rights, right to equality and right to freedom. In next video, we will discuss the remaining fundamental rights.